So I was recently on a back-to-back on Radiance of the Seas for 9 nights, and I didn't pay a penny in fare. But how much did that cruise really cost me? Let's break it down. Hey, what's up? I'm Chris. My channel is all about cruising for a lot less using casino comps. And I have been on about 30 cruises across many of the world's best cruise lines. And I've done them all for free. And that's just by playing in the casino. I have a ton of videos on my channel that will walk you through exactly how I do it, how I spend less in the casino, but earn all of these great comps. I usually end up losing about $50 a day in the casino, and I'm earning comps that are worth hundreds and hundreds per day. But even though you get on the ship for free, you don't pay any fare, there's a lot of associated costs that go along with it. And I think if you're gonna do what I do, you need to understand what it's really gonna cost you to get on these ships and cruise a lot more. So I've set myself a very ambitious goal of only spending about $100 a day all in. That's talking, port fees and taxes, travel, spend on the ship, and gambling, which is a little bit low, I think. I haven't really hit that more than a couple of times. So I've kind of revised that number to about 150. If I can get to about 150 a day, that's gonna unlock more opportunities to cruise. And currently I cruise about once every other month. So having said all that, let's break down every penny I spent on this Radiance of the Seas back-to-back. Of course, we start where we always do, pre-cruise. Port fees and taxes for both sailings was $311.97. I prepaid my gratuities, $166.50. So even before I got on the ship, I spent $478.47. Getting to the port and back. Gas and tolls, $117.37. I live in Tampa, and this sailing was out of Port Everglades in Fort Lauderdale. I spent $180 on parking, and this was definitely something where I could have saved a lot of money. I'm starting to look at options off port, especially in this instance, because we were way at 26. If you've been to Port Everglades, that's at the very, very back. And I ended up having to take a shuttle from that terminal to the parking garage. So I really didn't gain any convenience by parking on port. So going forward, I think I'm gonna look at cheaper options. You gotta do your due diligence here. You gotta be very careful to vet the parking facility to make sure it's safe and that they're not sketchy and that you have transportation options to and from the port. You could probably spend about $9 or $10 a day off-site, whereas if you park in the port, you're going to spend, $17, $20, $25. And, at Miami, it's $35 a day now, which is very exorbitant. So my total spend to get to and from the port, $297.37. So on board, my gambling spend was $290, which was really, really good. I set myself a budget of $100 a day. Of course, I want to spend a lot less than that. And I averaged losing about $50 a day. So for a 9-night cruise, this was really good. I think it ended up being like 30-something dollars a day I lost. You can see a breakdown of exactly how I did in the casino. It's the last video on my channel, and I'll link it in the description. My folio balance. So this is any incidentals, anything that I spent on the ship, like extra coffees or, cigarettes, yuck, or anything else that I spent around the ship, $32.61. So Voom Wi-Fi. This could have been a lot more expensive if I would have just bought it before the cruise. Generally speaking, if you find it on sale, it's going to be about $20 or maybe a little bit more. But what I did is I used my 2 free Diamond Plus days. You get 2 free Wi-Fi days every sailing. And then what I did is I purchased the remainder of the days on board, and I used my Prime discount. You get 30% off for becoming Prime with Casino Royale. And I ended up spending $108.37. So I saved probably about $80 or $90 there. My total on board, $430.98. All right, grand total. Pre-cruise, I spent $478.47. Travel, I spent $297.37. And on board, I spent $430.98 for a grand total of $1,206.82. For 9 nights, that's pretty good. That's actually $134.09 per day. Now, obviously, gambling is going to impact that. I could have definitely brought it down and saved myself quite a bit if I wouldn't have parked at the port. But overall, I'm pretty happy with that. So how much would these sailings actually cost? How much did I actually save off of fare? $32.24 was the brochure rate solo traveler for 9 nights on Radiance of the Seas. If I would have had to pay fare, my per day rate would have been $492.31. So that is a massive savings. And you have your gambling in there. So if you like to play slots, if you like to gamble, that's part of your entertainment on a ship. So that's already taken care of. So overall, a really, really good, successful sailing when it comes to finances. So there you have it. That's how much I spent per day on Radiance of the Seas on my back-to-back 9-night sailing. So what I would recommend that you do is that you budget yourself at least about $150 a day if you're taking these comped cruises. That's kind of where I'm living right now. Couple of things that you need to think about though. First of all, I'm Diamond Plus, so I get 5 drinks anywhere on the ship every single day with Diamond Plus. And I also get my 2 free Wi-Fi days per sailing. So you kind of need to factor that into the equation. And then of course with Prime, I'm getting free drinks every time I'm in the casino. So I'm not buying a drinks package and I'm not really spending cash on drinks when I'm on board. That's a big savings. So I hope this helped you. I hope you found it valuable. If you did, please consider giving the video a like or even some hype. And then if you want to see what's happening with me going on into the future, all the other great stuff that I have coming up, including my friend's Independence of the Seas sailing in just about a week, make sure you're subscribed and you have the notification bell turned on. Coming up next week, I am going to reveal my one loss statement from 2025 on Royal Caribbean. How much did I lose per day on average gambling in the casino in 2025? And am I still getting value out of these comps? We'll cover that next week. Thanks so much for watching.